Today, we are learning the 8 steps of an energetic spirit to spirit conversation. Hello, I'm Brenda Crump with Tools to Empower, and I'm glad that you're joining me. We are going to discuss why you would need a spirit to spirit conversation, how to do it, and what the benefits could be from it. So, I learned this tool years ago, and I've been using it ever since. It has been one of the most powerful tools in my life. I have always been one that wasn't allowed to express how I was feeling or um, be able to give it any feedback because the way I was raised, that was talking back, right? And so I was never allowed to express myself, and I ended up shutting down my voice. And so for me, this tool has given me an opportunity to have a voice, to express, and to learn how to express in a safe way. So I learned this probably back in 2010 or so. And I have been teaching it to clients ever since because it was such a powerful tool. So, one of the things with the mentor I was working with, it was like we would learn it, then we would get to experience it and report back like immediately so that we had that accountability and that we actually were brave enough and courageous enough to take the step forward. So, I challenge you today to do the same thing after we go through this. Find a time, schedule a time. Maybe it's tonight on the way home from work. Maybe it's on your lunch break, whatever it is, find the time, schedule it in, and make it happen because I promise you, this will be so powerful for you as well. So, I first want to just give you a little bit of an experience that I had with this years ago. And I'm going to share one of my own experiences, and I'm going to share an experience that a client had after doing it so that you'll get both experiences. So, when I did this, I had an energetic conversation with my mom. And this was a place I was never really allowed to express myself. And so it was one of those conversations. And again, I walked away feeling hurt and disappointed and not feeling like I dare say anything because, then I wouldn't be respecting my mother. And so I just gulped all those emotions down, was holding on side and, holding them inside of me, physically getting sick again. When we hold in our words, we tend to get a sore throat. And so that's never a good thing. And also, people that have to clear their throat a lot, it's because they haven't expressed the words that they need to oftentimes. And so we start looking at the way that we're responding and we realize, hey, maybe my body needs to do something different, right? And so for me, I had this opportunity to have this experience with my mother and then work with this mentor and get this tool. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to do it with my mom. So I scheduled a time. I actually did it in my car while I was driving. And I just had the conversation while I was driving down the road, allowed myself, and I obviously was not in a really crazy place where it was really needing to be pay attention. Um, I was just going to the grocery store, so it wasn't like a big, uh, top time of travel and things. But always, if you are afraid of that in your car, you can always pray for angels to surround you. But anyway, I had this conversation with my mom, and I just said, hey, mom, we got to have this conversation. Like, I need to express the way I am feeling from you, being able to not ever say my words, not ever express the hurt that you cause me when you're so like it has to be your way. And so I just had this whole conversation and I just said everything that I wished I ever would have said. And it ended up started out with this conversation, right? That had just occurred. And then it went through several other conversations that just popped up freely in my mind. And I was able to express all of that as well. For me, there were some yelling and some pounding my fists on the steering wheel a little bit. I did stop at a stop sign one time and I just stopped and there was nobody behind me. So I just stomped my feet for a few minutes, just letting myself express whatever felt like my body needed to do. And then I continued to drive down the road, having the rest of this conversation with my mom. Um, Once I was completely done with that, I was exhausted. I'm not going to lie. I also had been screaming at the top of my lungs at one point. And I don't share this because I'm proud of it. I just want you guys to, I'm just trying to be real and raw about where it could go with you because you do feel a little bit silly with this at first because you're just like, I'm talking to myself, like, what am I doing? Right. So you just start and you're just having this, like, I don't really know. I'm just supposed to be doing this. And you're starting like this. And all of a sudden you're like, and there was this, and there was that, and you made me so mad about this. And you just kind of let yourself unload all of the things that you wished you would have said, or maybe you chose not to say so that you didn't fuel the fire and cause the argument to get bigger. And so you just allow yourself to express everything that you need to. And then at the very end, oh, you guys, it feels so good. It feels so good to finally have dumped all that garbage out. So I promise you that as you do this, it will be a really powerful thing for you as well. So I wanted to share one client's experience with this because this was such a powerful thing for her. She had been estranged from one of her children for several years, and we're not going to go into the why, but anyway, she wasn't able to be a part of her grandkids at all. They literally had lived in Salt Lake, chose to move somewhere else. She wasn't able to be a part of their lives. And so we had this conversation in a session, and I challenged her to do this. And so she did. She went home and she did it. And then the next day, her son called and said, "Hey, mom, one of the kids has something going on. We would like to invite you to be a part of it. If you could come down, that would be great." And so, of course, she was delighted and she made the plans to get down there. And so, for her, it was very, very powerful because it opened up a space for her to have this relationship kind of start opening back up with her son and her grandkids. And so, there's all kinds of things. I've done this and had wives that have done with this with their husbands, and the husbands will bring flowers home that night, not realizing that anything has been going on with her. And so it's always really fun, and I'm always curious to see like how work out. Sometimes there just really isn't anything. There's no kind of thing. The only thing is that you now feel like, I'm so relieved I was able to do that. You were finally able to dump all of that garbage out and have freedom in your chest and in your throat, and it makes you lighter and it makes you feel like I finally have a voice again. It's safe for me to start speaking up and saying, no, it's not okay that people treat me that way. So let's go through and talk about what the 8 steps are that we can do to go through an energetic conversation. I know 8 sounds like a lot. It really isn't. It's just I wanted to break down each part, and so it goes pretty fast. So the first one is obviously picking a safe place to have your conversation. And if that's in your car because you're alone and that's an encapsulated space where you can yell and scream and feel like you're good there, that's perfect. Maybe it's in your home because nobody's home and you can do it there. It could be that you're out, in nature and no one's around and you can express yourself, maybe on a hike in the mountains or um, whatever kinds of things that you like to do, or find the space that you can do. And if you have to scale, yell and scream and you're not in a place, if you're in an apartment and you don't want the neighbors to hear, you can always, kind of muffle yourself into a pillow. Um, there are ways you'll be able to find a space where you have a container that will hold you and the energy that needs to go into it. So, picking your space. Then the second thing is you're going to call the person by name that you're going to be addressing. So you don't want to just start having the conversation. You want to make sure that you say, so for me, it was like, "Hey, mom." If it was, I don't know, say you want to talk to Bob and you're just like, "Hey, Bob, we're going to have this conversation." So you use their name so that they know that you are having this conversation with them, and it just makes them pay attention and to be energetically alert. You basically are having a conversation with their spirit. You are talking to them, not to their ears, not to their face, right? But you're talking to them in a spiritual way. And so they definitely will get the full message. They will definitely understand energetically, even if they don't know that it physically occurred. And this isn't something that I would run out and tell anybody that I just did. This is for me. This isn't for them. And it's just curious, when things happen, if they do reach out, like my mom reached out and apologized, which my mom never did. And so for me, that was a really big win that day. Um, so just be aware, and if something happens that way, celebrate, but don't celebrate and tell them, "Well, I had this." You don't need to go into all of that and tell them that. The third thing is to express yourself fully. once you've had the conversation, or called them by name, you're going to have the conversation. And I really do challenge you to be as open and as big emotionally as you can. And what I mean by that is, like I say, when you first start doing this, you're going to want to kind of just be like, what am I doing? Like you're just kind of whispering to yourself. And I don't know why I'm talking to myself and saying all this weird stuff about my mom, right? But then as you get going and then you really are starting to connect with the things that you wish you would say or things that you could say without being harmful back, it gives you that power and you can express it. And so that's why sometimes you will be expressing and then so the fourth piece would be to let the emotions come up, right? So as you're expressing and you're using your words and you're using all of the power of your words, there may be tears, there may be screaming, there may be the pounding on your steering wheel or the stomping your feet. Um, and you just allow yourself to have that emotional um, and physical release because as you do those things, it literally lets it go out of your body. So when we can move our body, when we can express and let that vibration, there literally is a vibration. If you hold your hand over your throat, there's that vibration. And that's the fastest way to shift energy is through vibration. So expressing and having that will be able to shift things very quickly. And then the next piece to this, number five, is that you can also do this, with teenagers that you can't talk to. I did this with some of my children when I was really struggling to connect with them and they're teenagers and they were struggling with things. I just wanted them to know how much I love them. So it doesn't always have to be like this. I'm so angry. Sometimes it's just like, I don't know how to help you as a mom, but I want you to know I love you. You can do this with family members or friends or whoever that has passed on and you didn't get to say goodbye. You can still talk to their spirit, that their spirit is still around you and they still will be able to hear the words that you say. And again, it opens you up to have the freedom of speech and to not be carrying that burden or that heaviness with you anymore. So with my children, I used to just tell them I loved them and how grateful I was and how proud of them I was because they didn't want to hear it as teenagers. And unfortunately, they didn't want to hear it because most of what they did get, what they did hear at home was like things that they needed to work on. And so I tried to energetically build them up because they wouldn't listen to that kind of stuff from me. They'd just be like, oh gosh, mom, roll your eyes and they don't want to hear it. Right. So it's a great way to do that as well with those situations. And then you get to learn how to stand up for yourself. You get to practice using your words and you get to practice formulating your words. For me, I've never been able to communicate very well. And so it's a good way for me to practice, right? Because I get to say things, and if I say it backwards or inside out or whatever, it's okay. I'm just learning that it's safe to express, and the words that I say matter, and the things that I have to say matter, and that it's okay for me to not be um, treated poorly. I can be able to stand up for myself. And so by doing this, it gives you the chance to release that emotion and that energy that way. And so the next time it happens, there's not all of this buildup of anger or frustration or disappointment or whatever it might be. And that way it's just like, you know what? I really don't appreciate you talking to me that way. And then it just comes as a statement instead of with all of this hatred and anger or whatever. Um, so then when you're done with your conversation, you'll kind of know it'll kind of just fizzle out and you won't have a lot to say. When you're done, I invite you to take three big, deep breaths, breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth and letting yourself just relax. And I would really invite you to focus on the exhale. So as you're breathing in, you're going to let yourself make those noises, right? And then breathe it again. Because you're letting yourself unwind and you're letting yourself let go of the last bits of those emotions and those feelings that are coming up. And so then, as you do that, the last little bit of this is so number six is to take the deep breaths. Number seven would be ask the person for forgiveness for the negative energy that you sent to them. You're not asking for forgiveness for what they did. That's not what I'm saying at all. You are asking forgiveness for the negative energies you've sent to them because every time this thing comes up and you get hit on it again, there's a little thing of energy that comes out of you towards that person. And so by having this conversation, that can also end as well. So you're just asking them for forgiveness. You just imagine in your mind that they say, "Yeah, I forgive you," shake their head, whatever, however you see it in your mind or feel it in your body. And then I like to ask myself for forgiveness because I think this is a big piece because sometimes we beat ourselves up really bad. Like, oh, why do you act that way? You shouldn't say those things or act that way, right? And it's just like, wow, I forgive you for holding on to all of that stuff. That was a lot of stuff. And I'm sorry that I've held on to it in my body because it's now caused a sore throat or it's caused a heartache, right? Or it's caused whatever it's causing, right? There's lots of different ways that we store it. Could be that you're storing it as back pain, or maybe you've swallowed it so deep that it's now in you're literally like internalizing it and it's in your stomach, and your stomach is always feeling sour. So as you let go of these things, your body can heal, it can become lighter and freer as well. And then after you've asked yourself for forgiveness, this is a bonus piece. If you have a belief in God or a higher power, creator, universe, source, whatever you call it, for me, it's God. I like to ask for forgiveness from God as well because I've been holding on to it and I don't need to. And so just asking that for forgiveness for that as well, and just believing that everybody can forgive and just let it all go. Um, it does feel really light and really peaceful in the end. You may be a little bit tired. Your voice may sound a little scratchy, depending on what came up and out for you. And that's okay. It will recover quickly. So I should have said this at the beginning, but anyway, if you're going to do this, you might want to have tissues handy and some water handy. So that you can hydrate if your throat gets scratchy. And then also at the very end, always important to be hydrating and drinking water because not only are we dumping out the emotion and the sound and the vibration and frequency and all those things, for each emotion that we're experiencing, there's a chemical release within our body and our cells. And so as you drink water, it's allowing that energy to continue to flow through you and expel out of your body as you're drinking and hydrating yourself. So very important. Um, so I want to just promise to you that if you will take the time, if you will make this happen, if you make yourself a priority, you will feel lighter, you will feel brighter. And we are at the very end of this eclipse portal and the new year energy and the karmic cleanse that we can be taking part in. So I challenge you to make this happen within the next 2 days and see what happens, see how powerful it can be for you. I would love to hear in the comments how it goes, or if you want to email me, I would love that too. You can email me at toolstoempower at gmail.com. And also, if this has been something that has been a beneficial thing for you to learn, and you find out, I would love for you to share this video with anybody else that you think could benefit from it. Like and subscribe so that you can see more content as the year goes on. I will be putting out a new video every Monday, and so you can watch for those. And just sending blessings to each of you this day. Hope you have a marvelous day and a marvelous release. See you next time.